Good evening. It's nice to be with you again, isn't it, Ronnie?
Yes, it is. And in a packed programme tonight, we shall review the diary of Fifi von Gripstrangler, the 19th century good time girl who had visits from several famous musicians. She remembers particularly Rachmaninoff's third and Beethoven's fifth. She also mentions Haydn's Surprise, Berlioz's Fantastic, Tchaikovsky's Pathetic, and Schubert's Unfinished.
Then we'll talk to a Scotsman who every year takes all his money out of the bank for a holiday. Then when it's had a nice holiday, puts it all back in.
But first, the news. Allegations that the government are a load of softies and not fit to run the country are completely denied today in a new government white paper, delivered to MPs in a scented pink envelope with dinky little hearts all around here.
Mr. Patrick O'Flynn of Dublin was arrested today for streaking through a nudist camp.
Sport. And in the 3A's championship yesterday, George Minter won the 26-mile walk for the third year running. He was disqualified because he should have been walking.
And in the international relay event, the Irish 4x400 metres team built up a commanding lead before handing the baton to the Russian team.
In the show jumping at the badminton horse trials, Princess Anne once again left her mark, so he had to go home by bus.
Crack-shot big game hunter Sir Hartley Fawcett, famous for his slogan, "Shoot 'em right between the eyes," was eaten late last night by two one-eyed tigers walking arm in arm.
In the sketch that follows, I interview the Archbishop of Canterbury and Marjorie Proops.
And I interview Marjorie and the Archbishop of Canterbury Proops.
Yes, well,
Ice. Half pint of bitter, please.
Well, I never. Spilworth.
Yes?
You remember me? Whittles, Jasper Whittles.
Oh, goodness me, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you for the moment, though.
Darling, I'd like you to meet a very old school chum of mine, Spilworth Minor.
Henry Spilworth.
How do you do, Spilworth Minor?
This is Trudy. You know, he and I used to share everything at school together, didn't we? Same house, same form, same locker. We had that place pretty well sewn up between us, didn't we, eh?
Yes.
One year I'd win the sports prize, he'd win the form prize. Next year he'd win the sports prize, I'd win the science prize. Remember old Phipps, the old master, used to say, if ever Britain needed two prime ministers at once, it would be us two. Do you remember that? Well, come on, tell all. What are you doing, running the Foreign Office?
No, I didn't do that after all.
Now, don't tell me you became a barrister. You said you wouldn't become a barrister, old chap.
I went to work in my father's business.
Oh, yes, wait a minute, you told me about it. It's a confectionery business, isn't it?
Yes, sweet shop.
Sweet shop?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, well, that's awfully nice, isn't it? Sweet shop, yes. How lovely. I often wish I had done something like that myself, you know, yes.
Yes, what are you doing?
Oh, well, I made rather a mess of my life, actually. I got myself dragged into the awful world of films, you know.
Films? Gosh, that's pretty exciting.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it's absolutely awful. No, it's just like getting to the office, really.
Jasper has a white Rolls Royce to collect him every morning.
Yes, darling, yes. But where are you living at the moment, old chap?
Well, I've got this, flat, really, above the shop.
Oh,
that's where I live.
Oh, yes, that's nice. Convenient, yes.
And what about you? Where do you live?
Yeah, well, I've got a sort of little flatty type house, you know. Well, it's actually too big, really. Awfully difficult to look after, you know.
It's not as big as the house in Hollywood.
Hollywood? Gosh. No, that's very exciting.
No, it's just a house they lend me, you know, when I'm over there working, that's all.
Jasper is always having to fly to Los Angeles.
Oh, yes.
Gosh, how exciting. Los Angeles.
Jasper has his own private plane, a Boeing.
Boeing?
Yes, well, it's only a little Boeing, darling.
No, it has 8 engines, and it has all sorts of things.
I know it's got 8 engines, but we don't use them all, darling.
Do you know Henry Kissinger?
Oh, my.
Henry Kissinger. Well, I've seen pictures of him, you know, with the wavy hair and the glasses.
Jasper and Henry Kissinger are just like that.
Oh, now, darling, that's not true. We've had him to dinner twice.
Henry Kissinger? Well, he's the Secretary of State of the whole of the United States of America.
I know, but for how long, old chap? For how long, eh? No, let's talk about you. You're much more important. Let's talk about you, eh?
No, not really. I must be getting back at it.
Now, look, what sort of a sweet shop? You're running a little sweet shop.
Yes, I better be getting back to it, actually.
Yeah, no, what sort of sweets sell best, though?
Well, not very many at the moment. We're changing it all.
I love
papers
sweets.
and
Yes. I
viruses.
like
I'll see you
mint
later.
lumps. You sell mint lumps. Don't go away, old boy. I want to hear about your little sweet shop, old chap. He's gone. You know, that's the first time I've beaten that swine Spilworth at anything.
Good evening. I'm appealing to you tonight on behalf of those unfortunate people who have difficulty with worms. They just can't say their worms correctly. Now, my name is Proctor Podger Smish, and I'm an eminent drain sturgeon, and I'm speaking to you tonight as the Secretary of the Loyal Society for the Pronunciation of Piss Pronunciation. Now, you know, pronunciation can be very embarrassing. If you go up to the vicar, meaning to say, "Dower to you, de hey, vicar," and it comes out as "Yawahui oi day, vicar," you don't half feel a twit. Some people even use entirely the wrong worms, and this can be very unfastened all round. I remember twice a dong lime ago, an old angler exploded to me, "I haven't fought a king all day." Of course he hadn't. You don't find many kings to fight on the River Itchen. He meant I haven't caught a dingle thing. He was using the wrong worms, and that's why he hadn't caught a thing. It was all extremely difficult for him. Now, what do you do if you suffer from this affection? Well, here's a piece of abuse. If it hurts you don't succeed, high five, fry again. Now, let me put that another way. Foam wasn't spilt in a tray. And don't put all your legs in one gasket. Why not join our society? Our members range from pukes to pus conductors. We even have one member who, not to mince words, is a trat. Or in other words, a prostitute. We have branches in London, Glasgow, Liverpool, and on the continent, if you're going continental. At Brussels, Amsterdam, Harris Rope, Stickholm, Helsinki, and also. Our patrons include Her Majesty the Queen, Prince Phyllis, the Grime Minister, Mr. Grim Callaghan, and the Bleeder of the Opposition, Mrs. Scratch. Last time I appealed to you on the television, the response was, frankly, a great dish of ointment to me. In fact, we didn't get a single letter, so this time, please fry and do butter. Send us your honey, whether in Marge or in small amounts, to this address. The Loyal Society for the Protection of Miss Brabantcitation, the Old Major Mouse, 32Z Hugh Street, Buckingham Tucks. I'll just repeal that. The Loyal Society for the Detention of Piss at Euston Station, the Old Bangor House, 286 Pye Street, Luckingham Ducks. Thank me, and from you, footbite to me all. Footbite and hanky for biscuit.
Was slowly drawing in on the phantom raspberry blower, who for weeks had been frightening the respectable inhabitants of old London town by his shocking and repulsive attacks. Queen Victoria herself was threatened. Chief Inspector Corner of the yard had received a note telling him to be in the graveyard at midnight. On the way there, he had come within an inch of victory outside the stage door of the Hippodrome.
Oh, Dulcie, darling, you gorgeous creature.
Hello, Lord Peter.
Hello.
I got your note, Lord Peter.
Oh, and what is your answer, dearest little thing?
Well, when a girl is offered a diamond bracelet, a country cottage and a fur rag, and all she's got to do is just, well, what you said in your note, well, the only possible answer is...
Say, good Lord, look here, steady on. Really, what was that?
You know what that was, don't you? That was him. That was the phantom raspberry blower of old London town.
What was that? I thought I heard the thud of something dull hitting the floor.
That was his lordship. Inspector, that was the phantom dressed as a flower seller.
What? So he's escaped under our very noses. We must get his lordship to hospital. There's one round the corner.
That's no good. That's a loony bin.
Great Scott, so it is. Why didn't I think of that before? Maybe that is the phantom's hiding place. Bowles, we are going to the asylum.
Oh, feeling a bit off colour again, sir?
Not me, you fool. We are going to search the place.
Sedative. Quieten him down considerably. We shall have any more trouble now.
All right, Bowles. I'll start at this end. You start at the other. Look in every room.
Very good, sir.
I can't seem to concentrate, Doctor. 1 minute I'm talking about something, and the next minute I've forgotten every word about it.
I see. And how long has this been going on?
How long has what been going on?
B.O.? B.O.? But I can't have got to be you. I've got such a wide circle of friends.
Bad breath? What makes you think you've got bad breath?
People tell me.
Well, why don't you believe them? Look, I tell you what you've got to do. You've got to take a teaspoonful of horse manure every morning.
Will that cure it?
No, but it'll tone it down a bit.
I can't seem to get on with people. You fat old pig.
No, I can find absolutely nothing wrong with you at all. Frankly, I think it's due to drink.
Well, in that case, I'll come back when you're sober.
This looks very cloudy, nurse.
No, it's not. It's just that we haven't cleaned the windows lately.
Oh, I see. Here we are.
Any sign of him?
No, sir.
What a complete waste of time.
Oh, I rather enjoyed it, sir.
Good grief. It's nearly midnight. To the graveyard.
That's my whistle, sir. Outside, a cab was waiting.
To the graveyard. Mark my words, Bowles, this phantom is as sane as you or I are. He just wants us to believe he's insane. But if he thinks I'm daft enough to believe he's mad, he's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Gad, but we must stop him before he reaches Her Majesty the Queen. Only we knew what he looked like, you see. I mean, we'd both seen him twice, and yet, it's one of those faces, once seen, never remembered.
Yes, sir.
What's the matter, Bowles? You suddenly look so different.
I'm not myself this evening, sir.
Well, we must keep our spirits up. Time for a quick chorus of God Save the Queen before we get there. You wait over there, and if you see anything, scream.
Don't worry, I will, sir. Once again, it is victory for the monster. Once again, the inspector is beaten. Once again, the world is at the mercy of the phantom raspberry blower of old London town.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Barbara Dixon.
Careless fortunes can be made if you should ride upon a wing, and you will see the easy way laid out before you. Gold and silver spilling out an endless fountain with a spout to dazzle your eyes, but have no doubt you need your senses. High on fortune, high on fame, high on fortune, high on fame. You got to keep your senses keen. Oh, to know will be mean. You've a long way to go. You will maybe glide on through and smoothly, smoothly running to comfort, ease, and so much more, and all the gifts you have in store. The sound of mind, wind, and limb until the taxman comes on in, hypnotizing all the way and spiriting it all away. High on fortune, high on fame, high on fortune, high on fame. You got to keep your senses keen. Oh, to know will be mean. You've a long way to go. High on fortune, high on fame, high on fortune, high on fame. You got to keep your senses keen. Oh, to know will be mean. High on fortune, high on fame, high on fortune, high on fame. You got to keep your senses keen. Oh, to know will be mean.
Yes, Miss Tyndale?
Mr. Rathbane to see you, sir.
Ratbane? Is that playwright chappie again?
Yes, Mr. Wilson.
Oh, God. Oh, all right, send him in.
The door opens and Ratbane stands in the doorway.
Come in, Mr. Ratbane.
The room is that of a provincial solicitor. There's an armchair down centre, opposite Wilson's desk, right. Whiskey and soda stand ready on a small table down left. This is obviously a room with a purpose. See frontispiece.
Won't you take a seat, Mr. Ratbane?
September sun slants in through the window upstairs right. It is evening. Ratbane looks around him and walks further into the room. Wilson speaks.
Please sit down, Mr. Ratbane.
Ratbane moves centre and does so. He is a well-dressed man, attractive without ostentation, intelligent, the sort women can trust.
Cigarette?
With easy grace, thank you. Wilson with rising impatience.
Mr. Ratbane, what can I do for you?
Wilson is in his early 50s and is rapidly going to seed. He's badly dressed, coarse and clumsy.
Oh, I say.
His fingers make small drumming movements on the table.
Oh, look. Look, it would be unfair to think of Mr. Wilson as being in any way vulgar. His delicate movements exemplify an inner sensitivity.
Although
His demure looks hide a man of steel. Wilson with rising impatience. I'm a very busy man, Mr. Ratbane.
Facetiously, no, really.
So if you kindly come to the point, sitting.
Ratbane, knowing he holds all the cards down left, relishes the moment. Walks upstage, flicks cigarette out the window. I haven't been idle this past week, moving closer to Wilson.
Carelessly, oh, really?
Towering above him, his shoulders like the facts of life. Yes, I have been up in my grandmother's attic, right up, upright.
Seemingly indifferent, oh, yes.
Confident now, moving downstage. Yes, and what I discovered might very well interest your secretary, Miss Tyndale. Wilson starts.
Wilson with complete suavity rising. I don't know what you're talking about.
With equal suavity, oh yes you do. And with sudden violence. And this time money won't save you. I discover that Laura Tyndale is the rightful heir to the Cheeseman millions. And with pointed finger, you have been keeping her in ignorance.
God that I never.
Vehemently, yes.
Incredulously me. Trips over waste paper basket.
The door opens.
A lady enters with a gun.
It is Laura Tyndale.
Laura Tyndale is outwardly a mousy creature, but the discerning eye might well see signs of a barely hidden, passionate nature. She only awaits the right man. I have overheard all.
She points to intercom.
They all stare at the guilty instrument.
With cold fury. You have denied my birthright, downright.
Pathetically upright. No.
With wild aim, take that.
She shoots. Falls wounded.
Oh, now take me, Denzel Rathbane. Can you deny the unspoken passion betwixt copy typist and playwright?
This thing moving up centre is bigger than both of us.
They don't write stuff like real life anymore. He dies. Audience applauds. Listen to this. This is about a chap lost in the desert without food or water, you know. Sun is blazing down from a cloudless sky. A beautiful day, in fact. And he's staggering along, saying, water, water. Actually, he didn't say, by the way, water, water, actually. No, I thought you might have... No, I said that. I said the actually. No, well, you know, you might be confused. All he said was water, water. I did the actually was mine. Well, you look a bit stupid staggering about the desert. Saying water, water, actually. Although I suppose if there's nobody there to hear him, it doesn't matter whether he says water, water, or kiss my aunt, does it really? I digress. And what I was going to say is that this is not the actual joke that I'm going to tell you. This is one I happened to notice. No, it's one that I happened to notice in an old Reader's Digest, you know, when I was asleep in bed last night. And, well, obviously, no, I wasn't asleep when I noticed it, you know, that would clever than most, but I had been asleep. No, I had been asleep. I want to get the facts right. I had been asleep, you see, and my wife woke me up, you know. She said, hey, you, Shorty. Now, she's got a terrible memory for names, bless her, you know. She said, would you like to hear the patter of tiny feet? I said, darling, of course I would, she said. She said, so would I. Go and get me a glass of water. So a bit later, I am laying there, you see. I can't sleep. I'm wondering about things like, you know, why does she always spill it on my side? And whatever happened to Jane Russell? And isn't nature wonderful? And all that sort of thing. And I looked at my wife, and I toyed for a moment with the idea of giving her a knock on the mud pack. You know, it's hard to imagine, you know, that when we first met, she was a beauty queen at our local tyre factory. Miss Retread of 1964. Actually, I think our marriage got off to a bad start on our honeymoon, you know. I've heard of brides going to bed with a rose between their teeth. She had a cyanide capsule. And a nightdress that hadn't seen action since it was a greatcoat in the Polish cavalry. But I digress. And what I'm trying to tell you is how I came to find this joke was that I thought to myself, well, it's no good lying here crying, you know. I'll go and find something to read, cheer myself up a bit, see? And I remembered that lying on the sideboard downstairs was an old Reader's Digest, April 1968. I remembered that because I've been lying there since April 1968. It's another thing, you know. My wife is she's not very house-proud. We are probably the only family in Wimbledon with their Christmas decorations all year round. She doesn't get much time for housework because she's a health fanatic, you know. She doesn't do exercises and all that. She just spends a lot of time at the doctor's. She spends a lot of time at the doctor's. More time than he does, actually. No, she takes sandwiches and hangs around the waiting room waiting for cancelled appointments. And she reads all the medical journals, you know, like Lancet and all that sort of thing, and does all the competitions in them, like Spot the Gynecologist. Then there's another one where we show you pictures of 6 doctors, and you have to put them down in the order which they should be struck off. You can have lovely prizes, too. You can have, if you win, you know, you can have 2 of your friends certified for Christmas, and that's isn't it? So now you know where I found the joke about the chap in the desert. Remember him? Water, water, actually. Remember, he didn't say the actually, I said the actually. So he staggers. Well, you could go home tonight and say he told a wonderful story about water, actually. So he staggers along, you see, until he meets an Arab on a camel. You see, and he goes, water, water, water. Do you know, I've never had an acting lesson in my life. Water. Perhaps I should have done. Whereupon the Arab, who unfortunately speaks with a Pakistani accent... If ever there was a piece of material written to show off my limitations, this must be it. He said, do you want to purchase a lovely tie, sir? Actually, I'm not as bad as I thought I was. You know, he said, he produces a suitcase full of ties. He said, lovely ties. He said, all colours, sir. He said, I got a wonderful blue one here. Go very nicely with your sunburn. And he said, what about a nice BBC tie, perhaps? Small checks. Water, water, says our friend. The Arab just gets on the back of his camel and goes away. The next day, the same thing happens again. The Arab on the camel. Do you want to buy a lovely tie? Water, water. No deal, you see. By the following day, the chap is on his last gasp when he comes to this great new hotel in the desert. And he practically crawls up the front steps, hand after hand. He arrives at the front door. He goes, water, water. And the doorman stops him. He says, I'm sorry, sir, but you can't come in here without a tie.
The little village of Bendover in Buckinghamshire, normally a peaceful, rather drowsy backwater, is today transformed into an excited community. Its inhabitants are going about their business with a gleam in their eye and purpose in their step, because only last week they were chosen to represent Britain in the international final of It's a Knockout in Belgium later this month. The whole population is on tenterhooks because naturally everyone wants to take part, but only 8 people, 4 men, 4 women are allowed in the team. So as you can imagine, the competition is extremely keen. Everyone is in training, trying desperately to prove themselves good enough to be chosen as part of that lucky team of competitors to have 2 weeks in Brussels. The newspaper boy, Charlie Tickler, has been practicing for 3 weeks and hopes to be chosen for his accuracy. In the nearby supermarket, the ladies of the village train as they do their morning shopping. Now they're lined up ready for the off now. They're under starters' orders. And they're off. They're off, and the race is over 2 lengths of the bacon counter. And one of these ladies is carrying 7 stone overweight, but has proved very good over rough ground. And here she is, the Red Dragon, the Red Dragon. There she is, and some wonderful footwork there going on with the cheese. And here comes Black Beauty. She's closely followed by Black Beauty. She's fallen at Cornflake's turn, and the rest of the field are passing her by now. And here comes Black Beauty. Oh, no, she's being sent back. She's been sent back by the judges. She's failed to collect the proper goods, and the rest of the field are going past now, and it's going to be a race for last place now between Black Beauty and the Red Dragon. And at the line, they're out of time. Now the box balancing. A lot of bumping and boring goes on here as the ladies try to get through to the car park. And here comes Black Beauty again. How does she do it? How does she do it? Oh, that's how she does it. Anything goes in this fight to make the team for Belgium. Flying toilet rolls feature in the next event, and the ladies score every time they catch one in their skirt. All she's likely to catch is a cold. There's plenty of rivalry in the village, and training is pretty well non-stop. Mary Upjohn and her next-door neighbour, Janet Sykes, liven up a tedious wash day with a friendly pillow fight. They even have an umpire up a ladder. But friendly as it is, even the best of friends must part. Round 1 to Mary Upjohn. Arthur Wainscott, bank manager, is in strict training, and his wife has devised a marvellous way of combining a rigorous exercise program with a very effective method of dieting. the girls are into round 2. Janet is attempting to dry her smalls. But Mary's aim is to wet them. But umpire P.C. Green is there to see that no one gets too wet. One couple who are determined to make the knockout team are Mr. and Mrs. Arnold Beckwith. Mr. Beckwith informs me that they limber up every evening in the bedroom. Mrs. Beckwith says she feels much better for it, but the bed springs have certainly taken a hammering. The milkman, Roger Allgood, occasionally joins them for an evening's training. But according to Mr. Beckwith, he can't get the hang of it and keeps causing Mrs. Beckwith to fall on top of him. Mr. Beckwith is quite confident and says that Roger isn't even in with a chance. I'm not so sure. Whatever happens, life in the peaceful village of Bendover in Buckinghamshire looks as though it might not be quite so uneventful after this.
With what anguish I await my beloved. My poor frail body is wasting away in yon gloomy tower. The cause of my pinings at present reclining in her chamber dim. Ah, me, when will she be free to be mine own?
My troubadour, my own, I love you true.
Who the bloody hell are you?
I'm Arthur Cox, manager from the front of house.
What happened to Dulcie then?
She's been on the booze again. In dressing room number 4. She's flat on the floor.
I can't carry on with you. You look so ridiculous dressed in that terrible outfit. Get
up. Wait now, they will all want get money back if we don't give them some sort of show.
Oh, well, come down from there then.
They took the stairs away. Could be here for months.
Now don't try any stunts.
Don't worry, mate. I was a London fireman once.
Please don't look about with his whipman. That hard is only made.
Flaming skirt.
Dulcie, get off! Oh, cover up your knickers, do. That damn fool.
I banged my knee. Kindly get off.
I needed to stay.
Oh, no, you're not. I love you.
I'm standing here with nothing running. And there's nothing but a pair of horses.
My troubadour.
I love you, Arthur Cox.
Well, that's all for this week. On the show next week, we'll have the oldest bagpiper in Scotland, Mr. Jock McDougall, who in World War I played so well in the battle that the enemy used to shout out requests.
But one last item of news. We've just heard that in California today, at the Miss World preliminary contest, an electrician fell 60 feet and landed on Miss France and Miss Sweden. His condition is described as extremely comfortable.
That's all we've got time for, so it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.